What's up, YouTube? Today we're just going to be looking at a few new Pokemon that are going to be coming within the coming weeks. And of course they're going to be coming during updates, so we're going to very briefly go over those updates. We're not really going to take a super close look at what the updates actually are. We're more going to focus on the Pokemon that are being released and whether they're going to be PvP relevant in the Great League, Ultra League, and Master Premier. So without further ado, let's take a look at, this is a local event. It is the Go City Safari in Mumbai. And you're going to see just from this like poster that MUDSDALE is being released, which is very cool. This is a Pokemon that is not yet in Pokemon Go. So let's just, without even really worrying about what the event is, because it's not anything all that exciting, but if you are curious, you can pause the video at any time and take a look at this, or you can look online yourself. But we're going to take a look at MUDSDALE in the Great League and see how it performs. It has a pretty bad stat product, to be completely honest. Same exact typing as like Kanto Marowak. It's going to play very similarly with the Mud Slap and the Body Slam. That pacing is very similar to what we have currently with Bone Club. That being said, it has Earthquake, which is going to just take forever to get to with Mud Slap, and it doesn't really offer you very much coverage. So this Pokemon already not looking great, and you're going to see that in its kind of results here. It goes 13 and 33 for an average rating of 450 against the Open Great League, losing to everything you'd expect, but also just kind of beating everything you'd expect. But the problem is it actually ties Claydol, which is pretty interesting, but you're gonna lose a lot of the neutral matchups. I mean, these should be negative, but things like Annihilate, your Kanto Marowak, Malamar, these are things that just are neutral to you. Wigglytuff, but are beating you. Grumpig, Guzzlord. So that's never really where you want to be when you're a newly released Pokemon. It also does have Bulldoze, so we can take a look very quickly at see how that does. It actually has a slightly better record, but a slightly lower average rating. So yeah, this Pokemon on release, not going to be anything too exciting, but it's cool that we're getting it in Pokemon Go. That being said, it does have an evolution, and that is MUDSDALE. And MUDSDALE can play in the Great League as well. It has the exact same moveset, but actually a better stat product. Usually when we see the pre-evolutions have a better stat product because their level is lower, or their level is higher, sorry, and the evolution's level is lower. But this is not the case for MUDSDALE. It actually has a better stat product, exact same moveset. And that is why it actually has a better record and a better average rating. Still not anything meta, but still really solid. And also it has Bulldoze as well, which is a lot worse on this Pokemon. And then it also has Heavy Slam, so we can take a look at how that'll do, and that is not great. What if you did a Bulldoze and Heavy Slam? Yeah, still not great. So this Pokemon, obviously not going to be super awesome. And if you want to just compare it to Kanto Marowak, for example, we're going to go number one stat product and look at that. Like, that is completely different. I mean, still a negative win rate across the meta just because of its really hard. I mean, it also has some really hard losses, but still for an average rating of 530, that is exceptional. So yeah, let's take a look at MUDSDALE in the Ultra League now. So we're running the same moveset as we were before, pretty close to that 4,000 stat product, which is pretty nice. And it has an okay rating. It's not a bulkier Mud Slapper per se. Obviously Gastrodon exists in the Ultra League, but this does give you a mono ground type, kind of like Kanto Marowak, that isn't in the Ultra League, because it's kind of just Gastrodon and Golurk at the moment for Mud Slappers. That being said, we can take a look at the other movesets, but I'm assuming they're all going to be a lot worse. Do Heavy Slam, and actually pretty close though. That distribution is pretty small, which is nice. But yeah, it looks like you're going to definitely want to run the Body Slam Earthquake. This is assuming baits, obviously, but still not bad there. And then we have MUDSDALE against, you got a little preview there. We got MUDSDALE in the Open Master, or sorry, the Master Premier League. And it actually gets to a pretty high CP, 3443. That's probably the minimum of where you'd want to be. I mean, you see things like Skeleturge around that range. So it's definitely like workable. Golisopod even, maybe Golisopod's a tiny bit higher, but still Annihilate, 3600 range. So I mean, pretty cool that this Pokemon can get there, but I mean, 6 and 23 is pretty bad. It's just everything against it is everything in this meta is good against it. So nothing great there. And then we're gonna quickly take a look at the next event, which is coming on April 9th. And that is the introduction of Gossifleur and its evolution. Where is it? Eldegoss. I may have absolutely butchered those names. I'm not familiar with these Pokemon. Gossifleur and Eldegoss. That's my guess. Just let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong in the comments below. But yeah, this is kind of an interesting event just because Gossifleur, we can cover this more as it gets closer, but Gossifleur is actually going to be a wild encounter, which is really cool, which means you can get PvP IVs. And along with it, there's going to be Marill spawn. So if you need a Zoom roll for the Great League, that's great. Ducklet for any little cups. Dewpider, its evolution Araquanid has some play in Great League limited formats. And then look, Lapras also going to be spawning in the wild, which is huge for the Great League. That is a very prominent Pokemon at the moment. So I'm pretty excited for all of these wild encounters. And that's only for a 2-day stretch, and then it switches for another 2 days into Vulpix, Ponyta, Numel, Litleo, and Hisuian Growlithe. Those aren't as exciting just because fire types don't have as much play in the Open Great League. And then the last 2 days of this event, you have Oddish, Hoppip, Roselia, Cherubi, and Alolan Exeggutor. And some of these are pretty interesting. Hoppip, obviously, if you still need Jump Bluff. Roselia, its evolution got buffed with Poison Sting this season. So some pretty cool picks for PvP there. And then here are your eggs. Yada, yada, yada. But the Pokemon we're going to be looking at, obviously, here is Gossifleur and its evolution. So Gossifleur only gets to like 700 CP. So we're going to look at it in the Open Little League. And unfortunately for this Pokemon, it has mono grass movesets, which is pretty unfortunate. However, it's got some decent bulk. If you're close to 500 in the Little Cup, you are one bulky motherfucker. Unfortunately, it doesn't really show in the distribution just because your win-loss is really bad, and so is your average. If this thing ever gets coverage moves, I think it's going to be really good. We're also going to take a look at its evolution, Eldegoss, in the Great League. This is not one of its moves. This is something I added just because I wanted to give it some coverage, because look at that stat product. It's got a really nice stat product, 2103 overall. It's got Bullet Seed for fast charging. Think of like Credilli. It has Energy Ball and Grass Knot. Grass Knot and Energy Ball, I think, are the exact same move, except Grass Knot is 5 less energy, so it's just better in all ways in PvP. And then so I added Weather Ball normal because I was looking at its moves that it can learn, and I'm just going to very briefly go over these. And not too many of these are in Pokemon Go. Like there's Charm, but that's a fast move, and we don't really want to see that. And then for charge moves, it has all those grass moves that you see: Seed Bomb, Energy Ball, Leaf Storm, Grass Knot. But we want to give it coverage, so I ended up doing Weather Ball normal, which where is that on this list? I don't even see it. Oh, there it is right here. So yeah, I mean, you could do that. I think there are also a bunch of moves it could learn when they're introduced into the game, but they're not yet there. I mean, Leaf Ages as another fast move. It can learn growth, leech seed, poison powder, sleep powder. Yeah, none of those are in Pokemon Go yet. So unfortunately, this Pokemon looks like it's going to be pretty limited. This is one of the few coverage moves it can learn. And with that coverage move, still 17 and 30, 457 overall. Not great. Here is it with its current moveset of Energy Ball. It's just way worse. And if we just compare that to something like Superior, which dominates the monograss, we'll do a rank 1 stat product. I mean, that's just a completely different story, and that's just because Frenzy Plant, Vine Whip, both are just better than Bullet Seed and like Grass Knot. And then you have Aerial Ace for coverage, which is nice. So yeah, Superior definitely going to be the dominant grass Pokemon here. A very similar stat product though, actually. In fact, I believe ELDEGOSS had a better stat product. Okay, it's not gonna... Very similar, but yeah, the rank 1 IVs do have a better stat product. So if this thing ever gets coverage moves or just better moves in general, I think it could be really interesting. Hell, let's give it, just for the sake of it, let's do like Leafage, because we saw that one. And then instead of Energy Ball, let's do like Seed Bomb. And then instead of Grass Knot, let's do, we're just giving it cheaper charge moves because Leafage isn't the fastest charging. And we'll do Weather Ball normal and see if that improves it at all. Slightly, but still not great. So yeah, this Pokemon has its work cut out for it. But yeah, that's all the new Pokemon that we're gonna be seeing in the coming weeks. Like I said, this is a local event for Mudbray. It's only March 29th and 30th. So you're gonna need to like trade for these if you're not gonna be there at the in-person event. And then, which is okay because it's not gonna be super relevant for PvP. And then will be a wild spawn, Gossifleur and ELDEGOSS. So pretty cool there, and that is coming April 9th through April 14th. So definitely look forward to those. Got like 2 weeks away for those new Pokemon. It's very exciting that we're getting new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.